and its relevance. Thank you very much, sir, for your timely help to the center. And coming to the topic, the Constitution and its relevance. We all know the Constitution of India is one of the biggest constitutions in the world. In fact, it is the longest written constitution in the world. After 75 years of the freedom, the independence, and 73 years of the constitution, now the discussion has been going on the constitution and its procedures. Recently, the remarks made by the Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana, Sri Chandra Rao Garu, stated that the constitution has to be changed. In this context, the state of Telangana and also almost from Telugu to Telugu speaking states, many scholars are calling us to arrange a talk on the constitution and its relevance. And we all know that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, his contribution and for drafting the greatest constitution, it has given us many statutory things and providing us, we are all enjoying a lot of rights, equality, fraternity, and with the very source of the Indian Constitution, that is preamble, so which is considered as the soul of the Constitution, talks about sovereign socialist republic country India is. In this context, and I would like to introduce the panelist of today's talk. Professor Karunakar sir is here as keynote speaker to deliver the keynote speaker. Professor Karunakar sir was former director of this great center, OUCIP, and Dean, worked as the Dean, Faculty of Arts, Osmania University, worked at the Osmania University for more than 3 decades. Sir was the Board of Study Chairman and he was a member on many academic and administrative committees. He was the member of the selection committees at various state and national level recruitment agencies. The another speaker, Dr. A. Samunatha, as working as an assistant professor in the Department of Business Management and also assistant director UGC HRDC. Ma'am has been taking very active part in many social movements and she has been a resource person for many extension lectures. And another panelist, Dr. Amanchi Nageshwar Rao Garu, though he belongs to science stream, Sari has been delivering a lot of number of lectures at various academic and research-oriented institutions, and he has a close association with the civil society by taking active part in various social movements. And another panelist, Dr. G. Anuradha, the youngest principal of Osmania University. Recently, Honorable Vice Chancellor has appointed her the principal to the Law College, Bashirbagh. She is working at the Department of Law, Osmania University. And Professor Christopher, who is one of the senior teachers in the department now. Sari has a close and a keen observation on various dynamics of the society, education, and he has a good at social issues. And I thank you very much for having all the panelists, and they readily accepted to be with us. And I welcome you all for this discussion. Now, may I request Professor A. Karunakar sir to deliver a keynote on the topic, the Constitution and its relevance. Thank you very much. It is over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nageshwar Rao. Good afternoon to all the panel members and good afternoon to the participants. It's a kind of a makeshift arrangement. I am not that authority on the Constitution of India, but as a citizen of India, I mean, we all should know about our Constitution, what rights it gives us, and how it protects us, and how safely we can live in, in our country. So after the independence, the founding fathers of India, and who thought that we need a written constitution to protect the rights of all the people of this wonderful country. And this country doesn't have one race or one religion. So constitute of many religions. In fact, India may be termed as the mother of many religions, where many religions have born in this country, like the Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and etc. So therefore, people coming from these religions, you know, sometimes they may feel insecure because of the majority of the other religion. So therefore, uh, the main issue falls on the leaders to protect the interest of all the people. Therefore, we need a kind of a written document where it can give us the a kind of fundamental rights, and with which we can people of India can live safely, and they can get all kinds of the rights in this country. So therefore, the preamble of the Indian Constitution presents the principles of the Constitution and indicate the source of its authority. It was adopted on 26 November 1949 by the Constituent Assembly and came into effect on 26 January 1950, celebrated as the Republic Day in India. On every 26 January, we celebrate Republic Day. On 15th August, on 15th August, we celebrate Independence Day. On that day, we got independence from the foreign rule. On 26 January, we adopted the Indian Constitution. And what it says, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all the citizens. It's beautifully said in this, that the justice is given to all the what we call people, irrespective of the caste, creed, and religion. So, and liberty to all. You have a liberty to follow anything. You have a liberty to, follow any kind of a faith. And equality, equal. There is no kind of a discrimination, and equality among all the people, and fraternity. So, one can live with a dignity in this country, that I am a citizen of the this country. So, therefore, one can live with a kind of a dignity. So, therefore, this preamble is based on the objectives resolution, which was adopted and moved in the Constitution Assembly by Jawaharlal Nehru on 13th December 1946 and adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 22nd January 1947. And what our the father of Indian Constitution said about this is that it was indeed a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life, and which cannot be divorced from each other. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality. Equality cannot be divorced from liberty, nor liberty and equality be divorced from fraternity. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Equality without liberty would kill individual initiative. Without the fraternity, liberty and equality could not become a natural course of things. So now we know, how beautifully, he says in the beginning lines that, the way of life, and how it recognizes the liberty, equality, and fraternity, how one cannot exist with the other. So everything has to be within the framework of it. So therefore, this, gives the protection to the all the people. So there may be, a few dominant, communities, and the others may not be what having a dominant population, but still, the people who are in a good number, people who are in less number should not feel they are in less number. The people who are in a good number should not feel that they are in good number. Therefore, they can, rule the people who are in less number. That's not the what we call Indian Constitution gives. Indian Constitution clearly says that though people are in less number and though people are in a big number, all are equal before the law and before the Indian Constitution. So this way, the Indian Constitution protects the what we call the Indian people, and with which the people can have the equality, fraternity, and as well as liberty. So therefore, the and from 1940, 1950 onwards, many amendments have been taken place in India. The 42nd amendment, the preamble has been amended only once so far on 19th December 1976 during the emergency in India. The Indira Gandhi government pushed through the several changes in the 42nd amendment of the Constitution. A committee under the chairmanship of Sardar Swaran Singh recommended that this amendment be enacted after being consulted to study the question of amending the Constitution in the light of the past experience. Though the word socialist and regular were adapted between the words sovereign and democratic, and the words unity of the nation was changed to unity and integrity of the nation. So, in the 42nd Amendment, the few changes have come that earlier there was no secular, but the secular was put in between the yes, so in between the word socialist and secular. So earlier it was a socialist republic, but secular word was introduced into the what we call into the constitution. And later on, the another word, unity of the nation, was changed to unity and integrity of the nation. So the unity and integrity, only unity of nation that has been changed, unity of and integrity of the nation. So then whenever the what we call uh, the government feels that there should be some kind of an amendment for the in the interest of the people. So with the majority of the Lok Sabha and also with approval of the Rajya Sabha, so there will be a kind of an amendments to our constitution, which will really help the what we call for the better rule and better governance of this what we call this wonderful kind of country. So and the constitution which really helps in governing the country, and also we have the country has more than 27 states, and these states are beautifully governed by the Constitution of India, and helps the people to progress in all the fields in education, and in case of employment, in case of science and development, in case of the security, in case of law and justice, in all the matters, the constitution will provide the security to all the people irrespective of the caste, creed and religion. And this document was beautifully drafted by the father of the Indian Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and this way, the people are secured, and this helps the people to progress in near future. Thank you. Yeah, over to Dr. Nageshwar Rao.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable and thought-provoking introductory note. In fact, we have informed to Professor Karunakar sir very late with a short notice. Sir has joined the meeting, and thank you very much, sir, on behalf of the OUCS, CIS, and my own behalf. We are very grateful to you for your time and enlightening remarks on the proposed topic. Thank you. And now, may I invite one of the panelists, Dr. V. Samunatha Assistant Director, UGC HRDC, OU. Ma'am is with us to share our ideas how the Constitution of India and its relevance. And for the last few days, there are number of discussions and deliberations. Most of them were in favor of the constitutions, and particularly in the state of Telangana, there are divergent opinions on the role and the modification, the changes that are taking place, and all. In this context, and the OUCAS CAS thought that there should be a discussion type of thing on the constitution and its relevance. Now, may I invite Dr. V. Samunatha, Madam, Assistant Director, UGC HRDC, to deliver a talk. Over to you, Madam.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nageshwara sir. And firstly, I would like to apologize because my laptop's camera is not working and I'm not visible to you. But I'll try my best to communicate in relation with the subject orally.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you. So, as the topic for today's panel discussion is aptly framed as the Constitution of India and its relevance. So, by observing the contemporary situations, the demands from politicians, the demands from the states, as we have the federal structure for our union government, there are demands from the chief ministers of various states as well. So, before entering into the actual discussion, why all these demands for the amendments in the constitution are arriving at, I think we just need to look into the situations that are happening around the rights of the states, the responsibilities of the union government at the center, and what constitution has provided to all of uh, these state and central governments. Sorry to call it as a central government, but actually we should not call it as a central government. It's a union government, union of the states. So the foundation of this federal government has been laid in the concept of democracy, which states that the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So the democratic system with a constitutional spirit consists of the values such as freedom of expression, accountability, decentralization, and people's participation in decision making. So these concepts of accountability, freedom of expression, and decentralization have been strengthening the federal characteristic of our constitution since our independence and since the constitution has come into force. So, as we look into our history, India is assumed to be the largest democratic country in which we all are proud of. And this is the result of many revolutionary struggles of all our freedom fighters. So, keeping that apart, the Indian administration, Indian government has been structured and strengthened through constituting the rules and regulations mode for the governance. So the principles of the constitution which distinguish a constitutional or democratic government from an absolute monarchy or dictatorship into a democracy. So we can see like the constitution assumes special importance as it moderates the relations between the government and the governed, and it further protects the interests of the citizens by restraining the government from taking arbitrary decisions as well. And the aim of this constitution of any particular nation is to ensure the smooth governments for the welfare of its citizens. So, for this purpose, in the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, after the cabinet mission has arrived in 1946, the Constitution Committee has been achieved, and in order to shape India into a complete sovereign democratic republic, in which the liberty and dignity of the individual is ensured along with national integrity, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has incorporated certain principles in the Constitution of India. And the text of this Constitution which was prepared by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, has provided for constitutional guarantees and protections for the wide range of civil liberties for individuals, like as I told, the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, abolition of untouchability, social rights for women, and also a system of reservation of jobs in the government services for members of deprived communities like social scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So certain principles that are being incorporated to achieve national integrity includes like the first among all those principles as mentioned by Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is like the Indian constitution is absolutely workable, flexible, and strong enough to hold the country together both in peace and in war. So, as he himself has proclaimed, constitution is absolutely workable and flexible as well. And we need to see what are the areas of this flexibility and what at what circumstances we need to uh, make implications of this flexibility. So it need not be as and when it is been demanded by the rulers of the states, but the rationality behind the amendments of uh, the certain articles or certain provisions shall be discussed systematically and analytically. And certain other principles provided by Dr. Ambedkar includes providing special safeguards to the minorities and certain other classes who are socially and educationally backward. This is another instance wherein we are uh, uh, evidentially looking at the violation of rights of these minorities in these days. And Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar also has incorporated certain rights in the name of right to constitutional remedies, which ensures that the fundamental rights of individuals are not infringed by the either by the state government or by the union government. And also single judiciary system, uniformity in the fundamental laws in order to achieve integration in the Indian society, and in very importantly incorporation of the directive principles also in order to ensure social and economic democracy and welfare of the people of India. So with all these principles, our constitution has been structured and strengthened formally and punctually. So here apart the preamble shows us the essence of the constitution, which proclaims that diversity and inclusiveness is the essence of the constitution. So we need to understand what is diversity in our nation. So diversified cultures, diverse languages, diversified genders, and inclusiveness is its essence. In spite of having all these diversified characteristics, we are one nation. That has to be realized by the citizens of India, as well as by the political parties, as well as by the administrators of the country. So, as provided in the Constitution, there are two parts of it: the fundamental rights and the responsibilities as well, in the form of fundamental duties, supported by the directive principles. As we go through the glimpses of the fundamental rights, we can see the right to equality provided in Articles 14 to 18. So, that is about the equality of the citizens before law, as equality in protection by law, irrespective of the economic status, caste, color, creed, religion, or sex, etc. So, another equality is in terms of opportunity. Both Article 14 and Article 15 talk about the equality before law and equal opportunity as well. And this equal opportunity is in terms of providing equality of opportunity for all the citizens in matters related to the education, employment in all the offices of the governments. So we are accordingly, like since we are losing the government or the public sector institutions nowadays, this amendment can be desired, like in all public sector entities or as well, we have to seek for this equality of opportunity. So there are some certain other fundamental rights in terms of right to equality, like abolition of untouchability according to Article 17, and abolition of titles according to Article 18. And we also have right to freedom, which are being mentioned in from Articles 19 to 22. There are basically six rights to freedom. One is right to speech and expression, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of assembling peacefully without arms, freedom to form associations and unions, freedom to move freely throughout India, and freedom to reside and settle in any part of India, and freedom to practice any profession, any trade, or any business. So, if we review, if at all these six basic freedoms are freely exercised or realized by the Indian citizens, we can surely say no. So, coming to the first part, freedom of speech and expression. So we see all instances nowadays, like people who talk against the government are supposed to be imprisoned by claiming any of the imposed laws or acts, right? We don't have that freedom to express our opinions who are deteriorating the nation at least. And another example is introduction of labor codes, which is going to violate this freedom to form associations and unions. In future, according to the labor codes, we don't expect to see the trade unions which talk about, which fight on behalf of the workers. And there are anyway certain limitations to all these freedoms, like all these freedoms are not absolute, and they are to be bound along with the fundamental duties as well. So some other glimpses of these rights, fundamental rights, include right to information, right against exploitation, and right to freedom of religion, and right for free cultural and education, and some other things, some other rights, right? Coming to the right to freedom and religion, which are being mentioned in Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution, we all are aware, like we have the freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice, and propagate their religion. So, this is the essence of the term secular in our constitution. So, subject to public order, the morality, and health, every religious denomination or any section of the society will have the right to maintain their institutions for charitable purposes, etc., and they can administer such properties in accordance with the law. But no person shall be compelled to pay the taxes, and no religious instruction shall be provided in any institution which would be maintained out of the state funds. But what we see in reality here is the state funds are being misused for the profess or the practice or propagation of religion. As we can see, we see all our what we say, the prime minister, the president, the judiciary authorities, the chief ministers, etc., all are visiting all these religious places, which gives a wrong impression of secularism to all other nations as well, right? And coming to the part of cultural and educational rights, we see in the recent circumstances the hijab issue of the PS College of Mandya district in Karnataka. We can see that has been made an issue. We see such instances whenever there are elections coming up, right? So such kind of misuse of the demands for amendments is wrong. So Article 29 and 30 provides the rights in terms of protection of minorities, which gives a section of the people or whole of them have the right to preserve their distinct language, script, or culture. So this example could be a best example to understand, like in matter of admission to any educational institutions that are being maintained by the state, um, they cannot deny the practices of their own cultures and all. So this gives us a clear understanding, clear impression as to how we have to practice the principles provided by our Indian Constitution. And we can also see certain rights that are being violated, like the right to education and all. We have certain enactments against the child labor and all, but we see many of the children who are into labor work, to all of them, uh, there is a denial of right to education for them, right? So how are we going to correct it? So instead of demanding for the amendments in such issues, we need to strive to implement such rights. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself said, like, our constitution is flexible, and he said, like, I'm going to fire it whenever it becomes useless for the uh, public. So in such cases, he says, like, it is not the right one. The constitution is, he says, like, it has no essence, but he says, if the good of this constitution is not benefiting the required people, the beneficiaries are not getting any profit out of the implementation of this constitution, then we need to amend it. So in such cases, yes, there is a flexibility always to amend the constitution. So that's about the fundamental rights that are being provided by the constitution. But coming to the part of fundamental duties, duties and rights, they both go hand in hand, and there can be no rights in a society where there are no duties. For example, if we have a right to life, it is our duty to respect others life and not to injure other persons. So similarly, the right to freedom, that also implies that we have to maintain our self restraint and accord the similar rights to others as well, which we want for ourselves. So, keeping in view all these ideas, the Constitution also has incorporated the fundamental duties. So, I'm not going to give all the list of fundamental duties, but want to highlight certainly, but three to five fundamental duties, like the citizens have to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, the absolute violation of which we are witnessing nowadays. The integrity is being violated, the sovereignty is being lost by the activities of the government itself at the state and union level, right? So we need to protect such kind of duties. And there is one more duty which is very significant, that to protect and improve the natural environment, including the forests, rivers, lakes, wildlife, and other living creatures, again, which is absolutely being violated. We see all the mines being established for the benefit of the corporates, irrespective of the damage that is occurring to the environment. So how are we going to protect um, this environment for the future generations? That also we need to analyze uh, keenly. So, what are the happenings in our surroundings? What is government doing? What is being done by the industrialists? How the administration is connecting between the industrialists and the government in doing such damage activities, and how is it uh, uh, creating injury to the human lives, to the nation at all? So all these things have to be critically viewed, right? So one more duty is to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. So this is what exactly the educational institutions have to encourage in the universities and other educational institutions. So see, where are we trying to imbibe the nature, the quality of the scientific temper in our students, that we need to what we can say, we need to self review ourselves, right? the spirit of inquiry. Does our student ask any questions? So regarding the nation, what the nation is doing, what is happening in the surroundings, why all the administrators are going to this, what we say, Sri Ramanagaram. At least if we consider our Osmania University, why there are so many temples in our campus premises itself? Nobody questions. So the spirit of inquiry, are we really developing? Are we really encompassing this? We need to review ourselves. And one more duty is to safeguard the public property and to strive towards the excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activities. Right? So, why such kind of duties are being incorporated in the Constitution is to make all the citizens aware of their social and economic obligations. So all the fundamental rights are being appropriately offered to the citizens, but at the same time, the duties are also being imposed so that the citizens become aware of their obligations towards the social and economic progress. And also, these fundamental duties take the responsibility of warning, taming the unruly elements in the society, and also to strengthen the national harmony as they stir up the patriotism. So, keeping in view all these things, we also have to add like the achievement of the fundamental rights and accomplishment of these fundamental duties are being supported by certain directive principles. So these directive principles are the guidelines to be followed by the government in the governance of the country. So, part 4 of this constitution provides with the directive principles. In keeping in view, like in case of fundamental rights, there is a difference of opinion regarding the importance of the directive principles of state policy, and that is to say, citizens can move to court to get their rights, but directive principles are not justifiable. So if we critically look at these directive principles, the establishment of the welfare state, which seeks to ensure the maximum happiness of the maximum number of people who are living within the territory of this country, is one of the directive principles. So establishment of this welfare state is not specifically mentioned in the constitution, but is one of the parts of aims and objectives of the constitution, right? And also there is a concept of social equality and justice. This is another directive principle. So the union and state governments have been taking steps to implement the directive principles, but there are certain deviations from the social equality and justice. So we see, if you see, for example, the CM of Tamil Nadu state has written, has proposed an appeal and sent through the governor, like need has to be abolished because it is taking lives of the people, creating pressure on the students and all. And all other union government employment exams as well. So right, so we see the southern states, we see a sort of discrimination between the south and north states. So there we feel like, we realize like there is no social equality and justice in conducting such union or the central exams. So in such cases, we feel like we are being like the rights of the southern states are being violated. So that's the reason why we demand for certain amendment. So the right to education and certain special scholarships for all, to achieve the social equality supported by certain amendments, can achieve this social equality and justice. And at the same time, the constitution also targets towards achieving the economic welfare. So we need to like just observe like to what extent we can achieve this economic justice, right? Because we see like the political things, the elections which are being misused, the criminal nature of the politicians and all the corruption, everything. These are the things which are deteriorating the system of democracy in the country. So the symbolic institutions of the government are, they are sink in the corruption. So the political system the employees, the administration, and the corporate. These three are the entities together are continuing the corruption in which the political leaders are being involved, the administrators are also involved, and supported by industrialists. We have the recent example of one of our state administrator, union administrator, which are, who has been deputed, the previous, what we can say, the former election commissioner. We saw certain allegations like a relation with a state project, an irrigation project, and the political intervention. So such kind of things create crisis in the country. Like how we can avoid all these instabilities in the country can only be possible when there is good governance. We have a department, we have a center for good governance, but to what extent it is trying to achieve it, because it's not in a one day or 1 year we are going to achieve this good governance, but it is possible only with the responsible political leadership and the administrative policies with a longer vision, long-term vision, and the uh, administrative officers who have the morale in uh, employing their responsibilities. And we also have to have in support of it the strong civil society, the what we can say, independent media, and an independent judiciary as well. So I think like this strong media and the strong civil society, independent media, and independent judiciary together can achieve this diversity and inclusiveness, which is the essence of the Indian Constitution. So in establishing this diversified and inclusive state in India, we can go for any kind of amendments provided it is benefiting the civilians of the nation. So that's all from my side, and the floor is open for debate now. Thank you, Professor, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. In fact, we must be thankful to you for your enlightening and intellectual debate and deliberations which you have. I know that you can speak good, but it's a wonderful talk and thought-provoking observations. Thank you very much, Dr. Samunatha ma'am, for your time. With a short notice, you have prepared a lot of information, and in fact, and I'm sure that your deliberations and your ideas uh, will be taken into consideration while preparing the draft. Thank you, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, may I invite uh, one of the social thinkers and who has been closely associated with many social activities, and in fact, sir is working at Zoology, Department of Zoology, Dr. Amanchi Nageshwar Garu, working at Department of Zoology, University College of Science, Osmania University. For the last 2 decades, Sir has been closely observing many movements, civil rights movements, many social movements, and he has a good rapport with many social activists and social organizations. And now may I invite Dr. Amanchi Nageshwar Garu to take part in this panel discussion and to deliver his ideas. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Konda Naheshwarrao, Director OUCIS, and the previous speakers, Professor Karnakar, former Director OUCIS and former Professor Osmania University Department of English, and Dr. Samunatha, Assistant Director, Osmania University, HRDC, and also Faculty of Business Management, Osmania University. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak with the wide range of audience with this platform. Though, as you said, I'm not a social science teacher. I'm not part and parcel of all these kinds of discussions in academic platforms, but I will try to put my words before every audience, before everyone, to discuss further, because the topic selected today is highly relevant to the present conditions and also has lot of value after 72 years of Indian Republic. See, very recently, the respected Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana State, Sri Chandrasekhar Rao, announced that India needs a new constitution. Along with this, without telling all these things, the government of India is doing in practice that they don't want to, simply you can say that they don't want to continue with this kind of constitution, and here and there, officially or unofficially, the ministers, central government ministers, politicians of the representing government of India now making comments and doing so many exercises in their own establishments that India requires a different kind of constitution, which is having essence of India or culture, which represents the culture of India, which represents the religion of India, or else they are going forward. They are telling that we have a different kind of constitution for centuries ago, and that is violated by doing all these kinds of activities after independence. Like that, they are telling so many things. But before going to into the details of these discussion, I would like to emphasize a few certain points related to constitutional framework, or why India adopted a constitution which is very vibrant, active, and living constitution, I can say, because till recently we have amended our constitution 105 times, as and when required, as required. So we have amended our constitution 105 times to meet the recent challenges or developments. Apart from this, if you go to the history, in the Indian independence struggle, because why I am emphasizing this is why India needs a constitution, why India want to become a republic or independent state, we need to know. So slightly I will emphasize on that. See, in the independence struggle, British government officially came to power in India 1857. So 1857 to 1947, they are there as a government of British Indian British government of India, and then almost 200 years. First 100 years they are not completely occupied India. So here and there are so many states. We call them as princely states. So there are about 600, nearly 600 princely states are there. Before Indian independence, India as such is not a one nation. As my previous speaker, Dr. Samunatha said, it is union of states. Each and every princely state as an independent state. For example, Gwalior, a princely state. Okay, it is an independent state. It is not a part. It is not part and parcel of country. Like that, Hyderabad state. Hyderabad state is an independent state. It is not. It is having relations with the other neighboring states, but it is not a. It is an independent entity. You can say it is an independent entity. Likewise, there are about 600 different princely states, everyone ruling in their own way, and different cultures, different traditions, different activities, different languages. People are following in these princely states or in these different independent states. So once the India was occupied, or else once the Britishers have come to India, so then India. So they have one by one state by one state, they have occupied by one name or the other name. And to make their business very easy, or to exploit the entire all these states very easily, they united all these different independent states. So the different independent ruling states, by one way or the other, by different kinds of ways and means, methods, the Britishers made them, the Britishers defeated each and every state and occupied and ruled. Likewise, before Indian independence, all different states are independent states and they are occupied by the Britishers, and then they became part and parcel of the then British India. So this is the story. And after occupation, in the last 100 years, you can say, what happened is these different rulers, the different rulers of India, they have lost their power. They have lost their hegemony. They have lost their independence. They have lost their dominance or authoritarianism. So these kinds of ruling ability or ruling provision. So all these states have lost these provisions. So in the course of time, everyone realized that if you stand independently, if you work independently, the Britishers are more stronger than us. It is very difficult to us to defeat the Britishers because that is the industrialized nation. They are the advanced nation. They have a lot of army with them, and it is by using traditional methods and weapons for the Indian rulers or Indian different state independent state rulers. It has become very difficult. So in this contest, everyone, every independent state ruler or the ruling classes realized that if you stay independently, it is very difficult. And if you collectively fight against British rule, it is possible to get an independence. And over a period of time, that is 100 years, people have realized. And for these nations, for these independent states, I think there are two lineages, you can say. There are two lineages which they have guided or lead the nation against the British rule towards independence. One is one group is under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Sardar Patel to some extent, Tilak, and so and so. And another team is Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and another team of leaders. So there are two kinds of channels fighting against British, representing India and Indian people, the then Indian people. There are two lineages. So one is with the fight in non-violence method. Another branch is fighting against India, fighting against the then British India by different ways and means and achieving independence, and it is complete independence. In true sense, it is complete independence. And until 1930s, okay, in 1930s, India does not have, the British India does not have any, the even independent fighters or the freedom fighters have no idea about how Indian constitution should be, how Indian independence should be, whether we need complete independence or incomplete independence. Under the British rule, also we can have a independence, something like that they have thought. But after 1935, so the rebellion started like anything in British India, and the people realized that it is not so difficult to get independence. That is why the British India formed a committee. They have formed a committee, and they have even drafted an act that is called British India Act 1935. So after at the time of 1935, so the Britishers also realized that it is difficult to rule the entire nation because the entire nation have become one nation, and then people united and people are fighting against us, and they are losing their ground very rapidly. So that in 1935 British India Act was enacted by the British Parliament, and then that is the basis for the Indian independence, and that is basis for the Indian Constitution. As I said, different states, different languages, different cultures, different traditions, and caste, creed, region, religion, race, and different things are there in different parts of the India, the then India. That is why keeping everything into the conference, keeping everything into the consideration, the Constitution Assembly was formed, and then the chairman, drafting committee chairman was the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The government of the leaders of India elected Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the drafting committee chairman for the Constitution. That is why the four pillars of Indian Constitution are the foundations for the Indian Constitution. One is secular democracy, second one is federalism, third one is social justice, and fourth one is economic self-reliance and livelihood of the people. So, fourth, secular democracy, federalism, social justice, economic and self-reliance, and the livelihood of the people, independent livelihood of the people. So, these are the foundations of the four foundations of the independent India. So, now the entire constitution, the preamble, and the entire constitution is is framed based on these four foundations of the Indian independence struggle. Now, what is happening to these four foundations? Why we need secular democracy? Because during independence struggle, or during the fight against British rule, we have so many. One second. So, based on these four foundations, the Indian independence struggle was there, and based on these four foundations, Indian Constitution was enacted. Indian Constitution was framed, and why the secular democracy we need? Because during the fight of independence struggle, we have India, the British India, the British India was divided into Pakistan and Hindustan into two, Pakistan and India, based on the religion conflict. And then the two Pakistan became Afghanistan, an independent state, based on based on the not based on the religion, but based on the geographical region and the dominance and authoritarianism of the one of the groups. So that is why. So the secular democracy, because we have so many social groups, we have so many religions in India. Because India is not in a state, India is not in a simple single independent state. It is a union of states representing different kinds of cultures, traditions, and philosophies. That is why it is if India required, or the people, the freedom fighters, or the founders of the Indian nation, or Indian constitution, thought that this India requires a secular democracy, not a simple democracy. So the secularism does not mean that. Secularism means that the state does not follow any kind of religion. Okay, it does not accept all kinds of religion, or it does not. It treat all religions equal. It is not like that. It is not that correct definition. Secularism means a state does not have any role, or does not follow any kind of religion or any kind of social things. So it becomes completely neutral in all forms, in all actions. That is why India became a secular democracy, and it is a federalism, because we have seen so many struggles before independence, internal struggles of different states, different princely states, and after independence also we have been witnessing these things. That is why India is a federal state. We need federalism, because if it is a central government, as my previous speakers, it is a central. If you say it is a central government, or all the powers are vested with the central government, it is very difficult to rule the states, different states, and state governments are will be in helpless condition. So that is why the constitutional made it is a union of states, and each and every state is independent state and acts, and that is why there are so many issues. They are there. So some of them are there in the central, some of them are there with the state, some of the duties and responsibilities are there in the both the list, that is called concurrent list. That is why India adopted a federal kind of structure. And then social justice. As I said, India is a kind of different nation. It is a union of state. We have so many social. Elsewhere in the world, we don't find we don't find any of these kinds of social groups. We have so many castes. We have so many social diversities. Okay, we have so many social disparities. So each and every group, each and every tribe, each and every social group has their kind of own tradition, culture, and practices, and conventions. That is why India adopted social justice to meet to bring the different social groups into equal line, equal platform, to meet the next generation challenges. So we need to have a social justice, knowingly or unknowingly, or officially or unofficially, we have a constitution for the last 4,000 years that is called Manu Dharma Shastra. So the Manu Dharma Shastra divided the entire this country into different groups and different social groups, and that is why we have this caste system in India. So because of this caste system, people are deprived of opportunities, people are deprived of education, people are deprived of employment. So many things. That is why Indian Constitution itself says that social justice is one of the pilling foundations of the Indian Constitution, and that is one of the duties and responsibilities of the Indian state to bring each and everyone into the same line, same stage, so that India progresses in a progressive way or in a qualitative way, something like that. So that is why social justice is one of the foundations of Indian Constitution. And economic, because of the caste system, because of the social and social fabric of India, and religious fabric of India, race and all these things, we have so much of inequalities. That is why economic self-reliance and livelihood of people, self-respect are important, and this is also one of the foundations for the Indian Constitution. So these four: secular democracy, federalism, secular social justice, and equal before law, economic self-reliance, and livelihood of the people. So these four foundations, if you take any article, you take fundamental rights, you take duties, fundamental duties, or you take state list, a center list, or concurrent list. Even you take any system, whether it is bureaucratic system, whether it is Supreme Court, judiciary, or executive, or any system. In all systems, these four foundations represent one way or the other. So that is why the Indian Constitution is living constitution, very big constitution, manually written constitution, and it is a vibrant constitution till 1950s. And then 1950s, after 72 years of implementation of the Republic, we have amended 105 times to the changed needs and requirements of the nation. And lastly, I want to tell whatever representation is there in Indian Constitution, how it is represented, or what kind of representation is there in Indian Constitution is not by one or two individuals, or not by the Congress Party, or not by the fighters. It is the legacy of the all Indian people who fought against British rule, colonial rule. That is why we adopted all these articles and kept in our Indian Constitution for the benefit of the new independent India. With this a short note, I will wind up here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your very elaborate talk on the Constitution of India and its relevance. How the diversity is the most important characteristic feature of the Indian Constitution, and how does the Constitution of India become a remedy for many problems, existing problems. And you have also touched upon various fundamental aspects of the Constitution and the problems that is being faced by the governments. And also you have tried to contextualize the present things, and try to compare the greatness of the Indian Constitution and the you know um, the intellectual inputs that were given to the Constitution and all. As you said, there must be amendments, there must be amendment. But talking about the changing of the Constitution, it's not an easy thing. Moreover, as Dr. Samunatha also pointed out, the governments come and the governments go. But drafting of the Constitution is not an easy job. As far as India's diversity is concerned, irrespective of caste, creed, region, The Indian Constitution has all its uniqueness in its nature. Thank you very much, Dr. Amanchi Nageshwar Garu, for your enlightening and wonderful brainstorming lecture. Thank you. Now it's open for discussion. The viewers of the OUCIS YouTube channel are requested to send your doubts, queries in the chat box, provided chat box on YouTube or on Google Meet. Shamil, did you find any comments on the chat box? Any clarifications on you? Uh, okay, thank you very much. Now, the two panelists, in fact, as per the schedule, Professor Christopher for Department of English and Dr. Anuradha Gummadi from Department of Law. They have been trying to join us due to the technical problems. They are unable to join the discussion. Anyway, uh, as we are already running the out of time, so now may I invite our technical coordinator, Shamil, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Before that, my sincere thanks to the today's panelist, Dr. V. Samunatha, Assistant Director, UGC HRDC, and Dr. Amanchi Nageshwar, Department of Zoology, a social thinker from Osmania University, and Professor A. Karunakar, former Dean, Faculty of Arts, former Director, OUCIP. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening introductory welcome note on the proposed panel discussion. Now, for vote of thanks, it is over to you, Mr. Shamil. Right, right. Thank you, Shamli. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.